with the NFL draft in full swing, this seems appropriate. This is the Kings of Rise,
This is Ultima.
and this is MGT Cast.
Hey, we're not just nerds. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, in this case, I'm more I was never really into sports, but like I mean I kind of have to be because of my family's in the sports and stuff. So at,
Football's my first love.
at least for my dad and my brother, like that's for sure. And then my sister's boyfriend is really into sports also. So I mean, we have the conversations. I talk about sports news with them on and off. So um, this comes courtesy of the Chive, and so like I said, with the draft, with the NFL draft in full swing, there will be and will always be draft mistakes.
Yeah.
That's just a given, despite how much hype is behind a player, and how much is put in to get that number one draft pick. Whether it was whether you were the worst team in the NFL, or you traded your team into oblivion to get that number one pick. Um, shit, it's all kinds of shit that happens. But with that said, like I said, this comes courtesy of the Chive, and in the title of the article is every NFL team's biggest draft mistake. So it's all 32 teams,
Oh man.
and I mean you don't have to get like super technical with it. I mean I'm just gonna read off what this guy here. The author's name is Jeff, just Jeff.
Yeah. My name is Jeff. Anyway.
Anyway. So we're gonna start with the first draft pick, which is the Colts' biggest draft mistake, which is the quarterback John Elway. Let's
Oh.
get this out of the. I'm gonna read everything he puts on here, just and then Aaron, being the more sports guy than I am, he can glaze over this to the best of his
Yeah. Yeah.
ability.
I remember
All
how
right.
this went down, but go
So
for
let's
it.
get this out of the way on the get go, from the get go. John Elway was a Hall of Fame.
He was a hell of a Hall of Fame player. Anyway.
John Elway was a Hall of Fame quarterback who deserved to be drafted number one overall, which he was in 1983. But this discussion is about mistakes, and it was a huge mistake for then Baltimore Colts to draft Elway. He said publicly to every journalist who would listen that if he was drafted by the Colts, he would play baseball instead. He was he was clear he was clear as could be on the topic, and yet come draft day, the Colts still selected Elway. It's kind of like getting turned down by a prom date and then showing up at her house anyway. Amplifying the mistake is the fact that 1983 was probably the greatest draft class of QBs the league has ever seen, including the likes of Hall of Famers like Jim Kelly and Dan Marino.
Yeah.
So we'll glaze over this a little bit.
So,
So what are your thoughts?
I mean,
Share.
all right. I'm gonna be. I mean, first of all, I hate John Elway because I'm a Chiefs fan, and John Elway just crushed my dreams as a child. Um, and he continues to crush them now as a executive of the Denver Broncos. So he's just a big old jerk. Anyway,
Bias aside.
this is one of those things where it's like, I think sometimes, I think football organizations, teams, get it in their head that
Mhm.
they're 100% in control no matter what,
Yeah.
and so you know it, with some players it makes sense because like not every first rounder is gonna be like a two sport athlete, but some of them are, and it's like those probably aren't the ones you want to test with that say, yeah, I'm not gonna play for you because you're a crappy franchise. So it was a horrible decision, really. Um, it'd be like if, I don't know. I think something similar happened with Bo Jackson and the Buccaneers, but um, yeah, dumb. Some people might say Elway was bad for that. I feel like I can't comment on it without any sort of biasing because, again, I hate John Elway. So I'll refrain. But definitely a poor decision by the Colts.
Okay. Speaking of Bo Jackson, the Buccaneers' biggest mistake, running back Bo Jackson.
Ah, yes.
Much like Elway, the Bucs made a mistake of ignoring what their selection was clearly telling them. He would not play for them. Jackson chose to play baseball instead and had a very successful career in both sports. So, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, except, but outside of that.
The interesting thing about this one is it was a little less of like, yeah, I don't want to play for them. They're a horrible organization. Like they suck. Like I think Elway with the Colts was. If I remember right, they supposedly did some things that ended up getting Bo Jackson's college eligibility eliminated. And so they thought at that point, well, like, yeah, now he has to come out, and now we get to draft him. But again, teams think they're 100% in control, and it's probably because these are rich guys, they run businesses.
Yeah.
So they're used to getting what they want, but they don't always, sometimes can't always get what you want. Sometimes that shiny new toy, guess what, man? You can't just buy it.
Yep.
And sometimes you got to treat people like people and not get them kicked out of college.
Which is fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on from there, the Saints' biggest mistake, running back Ricky Williams. Williams would have been very successful through interesting career with several teams. He ran for more than 10,000 yards in his career, but had issues with social anxiety that plagued his stint in the NFL. What made it a huge mistake for the Saints was famously trading away their entire draft in 1999 to get the pick to draft him. This was the only time in NFL history that a team only made one selection in the draft.
I thought when people said that, I always thought that was like an exaggeration, like, oh, they traded their whole draft.
But it was literal.
So they
legit traded away their entire draft. Their entire draft.
I know running backs are less important now, but even when they were like more important, back when the league wasn't so pass heavy,
it still wasn't worth it.
You could find running backs in every round.
Yeah.
And so, like, to bet the farm on one running back, this was poor decision. Like, what's wrong with you? That's just a poor decision all around.
Okay.
His issues aside, but gosh,
how
dumb can you be?
All right, moving on to the next one. The Bengals' biggest mistake, quarterback Akili Smith? Is that how you pronounce that?
Oh, Akili Smith.
Smith. Akili Smith just had 10 touchdowns in 4 seasons. He was drafted as a junior, having only played 1 season, but it was enough for the Bengals to believe he was their future. And as it turns out, he wasn't.
I remember Akili Smith was a rookie on, I think, one of the first Maddens I started playing.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, then, even Madden thought he was going to be good. But I think it was like 3 Maddens later, he's just like trash.
He's like that guy on the bottom of the list you have to pick up to fill space.
Yeah. Just didn't work out. I mean, that's the hard part. The other hard part is that, like, when you bet, you use such a high pick on a quarterback, you kind of feel some level of like, well, we kind of got to, commit to him for a little bit. So
yeah, just to see, because he could just be in a rough spot, and he just needs time to acclimate. Some quarterbacks are actually like that.
Yeah, and so like, you commit 3 years, and turns out the guy he's just trash.
All right, so moving on from there, the Browns' biggest mistake, quarterback Tim Couch. The crown of the Browns could really go to anyone, but when the Browns drafted Couch number one overall in 1999, they were looking for a reason to give fans hope, as they were technically an expansion team. Donovan McNabb was selected number 2. McNabb played 10 successful seasons in Philadelphia. Couch was run out of town and football after 5 seasons. But he's married to model Heather Kozar, so which is a nice consolation.
Yeah, for Tim Couch, not for the Browns. I think Tim Couch took him to the playoffs one time, so
it wasn't all like, you know,
wasn't all doom and gloom, but
when was that? Was that like in the middle, or was that at the beginning?
I think it was like his 4th year. And then I think that
then he
after
just
after
fell
the next
off.
Year, yeah.
Then he just fell off the next season. Damn, that's harsh.
Yeah. That's the way it goes, man. Damn, Tim Couch. I mean, it's, Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb. The issue, not to crap on the Browns, because it's so easy to do, though.
Yeah.
Is who's not to say that Tim Couch wouldn't have had a ton of success in Philadelphia and Donovan McNabb would have been garbage in Cleveland. Tim Couch would have been coached under Andy Reid, Philadelphia, and I don't even know who the heck the coach was of the frickin' Browns at the time. Like Butch Davis or something. I don't know. So that's one of those things you have to wonder, what if? Was it the player or was it the team? Was it both?
I guess the only people who would really know is the team, is the people there at the time.
The team and the alternate universe in which Donovan McNabb was the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, the Ravens' biggest mistake, quarterback Kyle Boller. Drafted in the first round, Boller played 5 seasons with Baltimore, only finished with a positive touchdown-interception ratio in 3 of them. He also threw single-digit touchdowns for 3 of those seasons. So, fun, huh?
Eesh. Really?
Sounds yucky, doesn't it?
Gosh. I mean, I knew Kyle Boller was bad, but I didn't know he was that bad.
I mean, but then again, he gets those stints sometimes where he just like plays excellent. But that's like,
yeah, he had a few. I remember he had a few bright spots, if I remember right.
Yeah, but like, it was a now and again thing.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Ravens, I think their history is like 20 years, so 20-something years. So I mean, Kyle Boller could have been a lot worse, but that was bad.
I mean, at least he's still in the league, right?
Is he?
I don't know. The last time I checked was.
I don't know if he's still in the league, but he was around the league for a while, at the very least, after a while, for a backup.
Let's just say he was in the league longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely, yeah.
So moving on, the Steelers' biggest mistake, the entire 2008 draft class. No one drafted by the Steelers in 2008 is still on the team as of 2012. Generally speaking, this is an anomaly worth noting. The longest-lasting member was running back Rashard Mendenhall, who ran for 1,000 yards in 2 seasons and now is retired as of 2013. Not just one person, but their entire 2008 draft class. They know how to pick them.
Yeah, apparently. I'm like really, really curious now. Where are the Rashard Mendenhall, Limas Swede, Bruce Davis, Tony Hills, Dennis Dixon, Mike Humble, Ryan Mundy. Okay, so none of them are with the team, it said.
Yeah, just Rashard Mendenhall up until 2013, when he retired.
Yeah, Rashard Mendenhall had some issues, a little too outspoken for the league's liking. And he had some attitude problems in general. He was a good player, though, so that wasn't necessarily a bad pick. Dennis Dixon, I think, stuck around as a backup on other teams for a while. Ryan Mundy, I feel like he might still be in the league.
Yeah, because you get those guys.
He is. He's on the Bears.
Okay.
So Ryan Mundy's still in the league, guys. I knew that name sounded familiar. Everyone else, though, Bruce Davis, Tony Hills, Limas Swede.
Sounds like names Madden made up. Anyway,
Yeah, so I don't really think any of them are. Dennis Dixon might still be around as a backup somewhere, but I don't know. Gosh, that's terrible. Talk about a miss. They really swung and a miss. Rashard Mendenhall turned out all right, so it wasn't all bad, but
his behavior kind of just derailed him. So
yeah.
all right, I'm gonna butcher this next one. The Texans' biggest mistake, defensive tackle, MOB. I can't say this.
Oh, Amobi Okoye.
Yeah,
Like that.
yeah, Amobi Okoye. He was selected 10th overall and was the youngest selection in the NFL since 1967 at 19 years old. He was routinely out of shape and underwhelmed in Houston, who will probably okay. Let me just reread that. He was routinely out of shape and underwhelmed in Houston, who will probably remember the 2007 draft as they took him when the next four picks were Patrick Willis, Marshawn Lynch, Adam Carricker, and Darrell Revis.
Huh.
Some all-star picks came out after that one.
Yeah. That's bad. Last time he was on a team was the Cowboys in 2014. Well, geez, drafting a guy that young,
Yeah, that poses a lot of problems.
10 overall, like, because I don't know, like in a way, your body's still developing. At 16, became the youngest player in the NCAA. Played all 13 games as a true freshman at defensive tackle and started with 17 tackles and sack. Yeah, wow. So, geez. I mean, he was 20 when the season started, but he was 19 when he was drafted. Oh man.
I mean, but
know.
his
That's a high pick.
yeah, I mean it's a high pick, but like I guess from what we can read here, his athletics weren't that good. He wasn't able to keep regulation weight. It seems like out of shape, so he didn't.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue with some players is the hard part is like once the season's over, you can't I mean, you could maybe balloon up for a little bit, but
But then you have to do
yeah,
your thing.
yeah. By the time training camp rolls around, you need to be roughly in shape. So yeah.
Okay, moving on. The Titans' biggest mistake: quarterback Vince Young.
Really?
Young was selected number 3 overall in 2006 after winning an NCAA championship. He played for 5 seasons with the Titans with a 42-42 touchdown interception ratio and a 30-17 record. A very decent though unimpressive stint. However, in 2006, the draft was the 2006 draft was a watershed year for talented players with 48 Pro Bowl players in the pool. So it sounded like you had a little bit of a disagreement there.
I'm having, unless they don't count the Houston Oilers as part of the Tennessee Titans, I don't like. Yeah, it was a number 1 overall pick, but man, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they won playoff games with him too. Like, let me see.
I mean, then again, how good are they right now?
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. In Young's first playoffs game, oh no, well they lost. They win. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, they went 30-17 with him as a starter. They made the playoffs with him. I don't know. Like no one else performed more poorly than what draft was that?
2006.
2006. Let me take a peek at this.
You gotta look at
Warlock.
you gotta look at that first round or what?
Number 3 overall. Let's see. So realistically, I mean, here's the thing: if they needed a quarterback, there wasn't really a good quarterback option here. So this is just a bad draft for quarterbacks. So best case scenario was probably the person after him was DeBrickashaw Ferguson. He played for 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
Oh, Jay Cutler.
Oh shit.
Probably would have been best case scenario. Would have been Jay Cutler. Everyone else here.
Forgettable at best, or what?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they had a lot of Pro Bowlers, but it's like AJ Hawk was that. I mean, he just got released. Vernon Davis kind of flamed out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because these guys are getting old at this point.
Yeah,
in a way.
Tamba Hali's probably, not to be a homer, but Tamba Hali's probably one of the better ones, especially with longevity. Devin Hester, the best kick returners of all time. Maurice Jones-Drew. He's from out here where we are. Yeah. I don't know. I guess you can make the case for Jay Cutler would have been the best choice quarterback, considering he's still a starter.
Okay.
In the NFL. So, but I don't know. I gotta imagine they had a worse, choice than that.
All right. I guess moving on from the next one, the Broncos' biggest mistake, quarterback Tim Tebow. The Broncos needed a quarterback in 2010, but Tim Tebow was most certainly not him. There was a string of games were marked by miraculous fourth-quarter comebacks under Tebow, but no point before the draft nor did anyone outside the Broncos think Tebow was going to be a quarterback to build around, and certainly not one to trade up for, which the Broncos did when players like Rob Gronkowski and Jimmy Graham and Navarro Bowman were all still on the board. Indeed, Tebow was out of Denver after 2 seasons after the Broncos signed Peyton Manning, traded to the Jets in 2012. He was never started another NFL game.
They did trade up to get him. The biggest issue here was that their coach at the time, it was their first year coach, it was Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
And he liked Tebow, and he wanted to work with him. And he's a big quarterback, coach, specialist guy, and he's the Patriots offensive coordinator right now.
Okay.
So he's worked a lot with Tom Brady and stuff, and Bill Belichick. So he wanted to work on Tim Tebow, assuming my guess is he thought he could fix the mechanical issues he had, and he had all the right intangibles.
Yeah.
So, but after 2 years, they got rid of Josh McDaniels, and then they still had Tim Tebow, and it was like, well,
I mean, but then again, it didn't seem like John Elway liked him either.
Yeah, John Elway was
not a fan, as you can tell.
You've never seen someone be so discontent with winning a playoff game as when they interviewed John Elway after Tebow and the Broncos beat the Steelers. You could tell he was just like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gronkowski,
Jimmy Graham, Navarro Bowman.
Yeah, like even Golden Tate, Emmanuel Sanders. So some decent offensive weapons. Cam Chancellor, Rashad Jones. So, yeah, there's definitely some Antonio Brown. Okay, yeah. So there was some.
I mean, but then again, they needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm trying to
notable quarterbacks for that year.
Notable quarterbacks. Let's see who got picked for him. Bradford.
Damn, Sam Bradford.
I think that's it. That was the only quarterback that went in the first round.
But how is he doing currently? Would you say better or worse than Tebow?
Well, better because he's still in the league, and some people still think he could be, like
if
Jimmy Clausen was taken after Tebow, so that's not really better at all.
So I mean, basically, people still seem to think that Sam Bradford, just with proper guidance, could still be a starting quarterback.
Colt McCoy. That one maybe could have been something
maybe.
in a better situation, which Denver was probably a better situation than the Cleveland Browns. Sorry, Cleveland.
So,
So, I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't necessarily know any other busts by them, and it's not as they traded up in the first round for a guy that was on the team for like what 3-4 years, and then he was gone. So, yeah, you could make the case, but it gave him a lot of merch sales for one season. So financially, I don't think it was a bust, but from a team standpoint and depth and whatnot, yeah, probably.
okay. So, my team, this is the Chargers' biggest mistake, but this one I kind of knew was a mistake. Like in the end, Chargers' biggest mistake, quarterback Ryan Leaf.
Yeah.
That one kind of resonates for anyone who's a Chargers fan. There was a big discussion between Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf in 1998. Ryan had the cannon. Manning seemed to be more NFL ready. The Colts picked number 1 and the Chargers picked number 2. The Chargers attempted to trade up to get Manning, but the Colts didn't budge. Leaf started out well, but had a meltdown midway through the season and had multiple emotional outbursts. He would be known as the NFL's biggest bust for years.
Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah, crack in the pot, man. Crackpot.
Dude had issues.
I'm going to go out and find a Ryan Leaf jersey right now. Before I get smacked across my head for that one.
I don't know why you'd want it.
I would do it for laughs and silly ribs, but, I mean, I think that one's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, there's not much to say other than he was bad and he had some issues.
The Raiders' biggest mistake, QB Jamarcus Russell. The popular pick for the NFL's actual worst bust, Russell signed an enormous contract after being drafted number 1 overall, which was felt so hard by the NFL that the next collective bargaining agreement made wage scales for incoming rookies. Russell played 3 seasons for the Raiders, and he was criticized for his work ethic and physical shape. You want to know what's fucked up is there's a GIF of a burning Jamarcus Russell jersey.
Damn.
Anyway, there's another one that like everyone knows is bad. You don't even have to be like you don't have to be like ingrained in the NFL, like I'm not, and you still know that's a mistake.
Yeah, I mean he just. Yeah, it was one of those cases where like maybe if the guy was motivated, but he just had some issues.
I mean he had some I guess mental issues.
Yeah, he had different issues than Riley. Riley had like some anger issues.
Yeah, he had some fucking.
Like that.
He had
this guy had some like this guy has just like some.
He has something medically wrong with him.
Like motivational mental issues,
Yeah, like something that you could be that could be considered medically wrong.
Yeah.
I guess in a way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So moving on, the Chiefs' biggest mistake, wide receiver John Baldwin. John Baldwin was drafted in the first round of 2011, but didn't see any playing time after hurting his wrist in a fight with a teammate. He was traded in 2013 and finished his career with 44 receptions and 2 touchdowns. That's bad.
He had all the physical tools, but he drafted a guy in the first round who had known attitude problems. And I guess we just thought we could, the coaches and whatnot thought they could handle it. And they couldn't. And, they were hoping at the time Dwayne Bowe, was doing pretty well. So we were trying to find someone to play opposite Dwayne Bowe to, sort of take some pressure off him so he didn't have to do everything. And that guy, he made a couple plays that made you go, man, maybe this kid could be something, but like, gosh, it just never turned out to be anything at all. I don't even. What draft was that? Did it say what year?
2011.
Oh God. Oh, whoops. Instead of typing in 2011 NFL draft, I just typed in 2011.
There's a lot of things coming out of 2011.
So let's see. 26. Jonathan Baldwin. Let's see who. Muhammad Wilkerson, Andy Dalton, Kyle Rudolph. Let's see. Any other wide receivers of note? Torrey Smith, Randall Cobb, DeMarco Murray. We got Justin Houston in the 3rd round, so not all things were bad. So looking at the receiver, I mean, didn't necessarily missed out on receivers, other than maybe. Yeah, missed out on a couple good tight ends. That's about it. Randall Cobb, Andy Dalton, Muhammad Wilkerson. Those are probably the big like, oh, we could have had him.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where you're just like, man, we could have had him, but we didn't know he was gonna be a bust.
Yeah.
You know, really these things, you know, I mean, except for maybe the Ryan Leaf one.
Yeah. The other option would have been trading up in the draft. That would have been the only other option, which the Falcons did. I can't remember if the Falcons had. Yes, okay. So, yeah. Okay. So, the Falcons moved up 15 picks, and they got Julio Jones, and then the number 4 overall pick was AJ Green. So if we would have been, but at that point we probably wouldn't have been able to get Justin Houston, maybe, would be my guess, unless we kept our 3rd rounder and traded our Rodney Hudson. That would have been a huge loss if we did that. So I don't know. Maybe that's a what if. We moved up in the draft to get Julio Jones, but no guarantees.
Okay.
He was a disappointment, that's for sure.
All right, moving on. The Dallas Cowboys' biggest mistake: quarterback Quincy Carter.
Hey man,
the Cowboys needed a quarterback in 01 and drafted Carter in the 2nd round after trading their 1st round pick for wide receiver Joey Galloway. It was criticized as a reach, and there were media reports that it had been heavily influenced by owner Jerry Jones. He would later be released in 03, and he would play for a handful of Canadian Football League teams before retiring. So the Cowboys is another one of your teams. So what do you think about that?
I think they made the playoffs with Quincy Carter once, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I mean, but he was released in 03, so he had only he only played for the team for 3 years, so.
Yeah, he didn't work out.
2 to 3 years.
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys. Let's see. Did they? Yeah. He led the Cowboys to a 10-6 record on playoff grant. Okay, so yeah, under Bill Parcells, but then he was just released, and that was that.
All right.
What was he drafted overall?
He drafted in the 2nd round after trading.
53rd overall in the 2nd round. Yeah, that's pretty high. That's a pretty high pick. 2nd round, hard to say. Hard to say, but I mean, you draft a quarterback in the 1st or 2nd round, and they're only in the league for 3 years. That's a bust.
All right. Next one, the Giants' biggest mistake: defensive end Cedric Jones.
I don't even know who that is.
Jones never amounted to much as a pass rusher, but the real heel of this mistake was the players the Giants passed on when they selected Jones number 5 overall in 1996. They picked him over Marvin Harrison,
Oh god.
Terry Glenn, Eddie
Yee.
George,
Yee.
and Ray Lewis.
Oh. Yeah, that's bad. That's not good.
I mean, since you don't really know that much more about this one, I
Yeah,
guess
I
we
don't
could
know.
just
That's just like that just lets you know. It's like, oh, you could have had him or
yeah, that's pretty much what it amounts to. Next
yeah.
one, the Eagles' biggest mistake: linebacker Mike Mamula.
Uh-huh.
The Eagles traded the 12th overall and the second and two second-round picks to trade up for Mamula, who they wanted to fill the void. Who they wanted to fill the void of Hall of Famer Reggie White. The Buccaneers would use those picks on actual Hall of Famers Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks, who were cornerstones of their 2003 Super Bowl win, and Mamula would be out of the NFL by 2000.
Well, that sucks.
Well, another one of those. I'm not really sure about this guy.
Yeah, I'm not much to add to that. But how long was he there?
It doesn't say how long he was there. All it says was they wanted to fill the void of Hall of Famer Reggie White, and then and then that I guess those picks went to picking up Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks. So I guess that should be a
So they traded up again. Yeah, okay.
that
Wow.
should give you an idea of what year that was.
Yeah, that's a big loss.
All right, so moving on, the Redskins' biggest mistake: quarterback Robert Griffin III.
Okay.
Washington. Let me read this first.
Okay.
Washington gave up a lot to the Rams to select Griffin in 2012. The Rams received a 2012 first rounder, number 6 trade to the Cowboys, 2012 second round selection, number 39 cornerback Janoris Jenkins, 2013 first rounder, number 22 traded to the Falcons, 2014 first rounder, number 2 offensive tackle Greg Robinson. Washington got Griffin, who has since not been retained. What? Well, anyway, what were you going to say?
Um. Let's see. Well, okay. I think if they had just drafted him with their like if they had the number 2 overall pick and then just drafted him,
That would have been different.
yeah. But it was one, it didn't necessarily work out. And they traded so much to get the guy. It's oh god. Like they 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 went they go all in for this guy and then they pretty much give up on him.
Yeah, that seems what I mean. If you look at it in hindsight, that's pretty much what they did, which seems like a waste. It's like a huge
Yeah.
waste.
And I mean, I'm not to say that RG3 didn't have his own, issues in it, but it's like the fact of the matter is it's like you you gave up, you gave up half your future for this guy. You better go in on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you better like work on that.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I think that one was more their handling. I think he could still potentially pan out somewhere and have a decent career. Maybe not. He probably won't be. He's not gonna be a Hall of Famer or anything. I don't think, but he could end up being like a serviceable journeyman starter.
Yeah,
Ryan Fitzpatrick for a few years.
yeah, just get that work in.
Yeah.
Build up those numbers, and maybe people look at you again like you deserve to be there.
But yeah, the Redskins suck for that one. That was just purely their fault, like, and not in like, because like some of the other ones, like, man, that didn't work out for them. I feel bad for the everything that happened with RG3. I don't feel anything for the Redskins. They brought that on themselves.
All right. So the Bears' biggest mistake: quarterback Cade McNown. McOwn? What is that? How I said?
Cade McCown, I think it is.
McCown? Is this MCN? I'm sorry. I'm just looking at it like
McCown, something like that.
yeah. Okay. Cade O'Cade, banned from the Playboy Mansion, quoted as telling fans they should stay home, and once blamed a receiver for an overthrown pass by calling him fat. He lasted just 2 seasons with the Bears, who selected him 12th overall in 1999, and was 3-12 as a starter. Yuck.
His career quarterback rating was 67.7.
Yuck.
He was in the league for 4 years.
It's like a trend, huh? It's like 3 to 4 years. It's like a trend.
That was terrible. He was charged in September of '99 with illegal possession of a handicapped parking pass.
Come on.
To which he pled no contest.
Come on. All right, let's just move on from this crappy of a human being. Anyway, Lions' biggest mistake: wide receiver Charles Rogers. Rogers was selected number 2 overall in 2003. In only 14 games, he had 36 catches. He was suspended 3 times for substance abuse and only played for 3 seasons. See, look at that. There's another like 3 to 4 year thing.
He played 5 games, 1 game, 9 games. Yeah. God, what was he selected? Number 2 overall. Oh, man.
They picked a wide receiver up in number 2 overall. That's fucking crazy.
No.
That's your fucking mistake, man.
Guess who went right after him? Andre Johnson.
Jesus Christ.
Right after him. Andre Johnson. Oh, man. What other wide receivers were in this draft? Let me look. Okay. So far, nothing. And Quan Bolden.
Damn.
Nate Burleson, who I think might still be in the league, but if not, he played in the league for a long time.
Yeah, he did for a long time. I'm not sure if he's still in the league, because the name rings a bell. Like
Brandon Lloyd, who had a few stellar seasons.
Brent. I mean, he's not great, but he had some really good seasons.
Yeah. That's about it in terms of like good receivers, but still.
Number 2 overall.
Gosh, they could have had. oh, Mr. Super Bowl catch himself, David Tyree.
Oh man.
So they could have done just about anything.
Yeah. All right.
They could have picked just about anyone that would have win better.
We have 12 more to go.
Okie dokie.
All right. So next one, the Packers' biggest mistake: offensive tackle Tony Mandarich. I'm just going to say that's how it is. Selected number 2 overall in 1989, Mandarich was part of a group where the first 5 picks, 4 would be future Hall of Famers. Unfortunately, he wasn't one of them. The other selections were Troy Aikman, Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, and Deion Sanders. Aikman being the one selected before him. 3 years later, Tony was released. Damn.
That is really bad. It's like, okay, Troy Aikman, you like let it go, right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, it was before then. How are they gonna know? Plus, they ended up getting Brett Favre, so it's fine, right?
Yeah.
They could have had Barry Sanders,
Derek Thomas,
Deion Sanders. Oh my gosh, the other players they could have had: Eric Metcalf, Steve Atwater, Andre Rison.
Damn, Andre Rison.
Steve Wisniewski. Let's see.
There's a lot of big picks in that draft.
Yeah,
just to name a few.
Yeah. After that, it's kind of ESPN analyst Mark Schlereth, you know. So I mean, like, yeah, that's man. That's imagine Barry Sanders and Brett Favre on the same team. Good Lord, that'd have been disgusting. Anyway,
All right, moving on. Calling out the dope on this one. The Vikings' biggest mistake, defensive end Demetrius Underwood. The Vikings made an amazing thing happen when they selected Demetrius Underwood in 1999. They drafted a player who would never see the field. He didn't make the active roster, a rare for a first-round pick. He would never see playing time for the Vikings at all. Zero. None. Whatsoever. Damn, if that's not a mistake, I don't know what is. At least with my pick, he had unstable issues, but he played. Damn.
29th overall pick.
In the first round.
He signed a 5-year, $5.3 million contract August 1st. Walked out of training camp the next day after the first practice and never returned.
Damn. But did it say where he went?
He forfeited a $1.75 million bonus, saying he could not resolve the conflict between playing football and serving his Christian faith. Although he eventually returned, he was released later that month. He was claimed on waivers by the Miami Dolphins. He played in only one preseason game before injuring his shoulder and also showed lack of focus towards football. In September, he was arrested by police for failure to pay child support. He attempted to commit suicide by slashing his own neck with a cutlass.
What?
Before repeatedly yelling, "I'm not worthy of God." Oh my gosh.
This guy tried to... cutting your wrist is one thing. This guy tried to slash his own neck?
Gosh, man. Jeez.
This guy had issues late in his life. Jesus Christ. All right, let's move on from that fucking depressing of a subject.
Well, reporter. Yeah, there was some good players we could have got instead, but yeah. Holy crap, that was a depressing rabbit hole.
All right, next one's for all the Niners fans out there. The Niners' biggest mistake, quarterback Jim Druckenmiller. Jim Druckenmiller was drafted in the first round of 1997 as the Niners' quarterback of the future, the heir to Steve Young. He would finish his career with 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and a 29.2 passer rating.
Huh.
Now, here's the funny thing. Niners quarterback of the future, heir to Steve Young.
Heir to Steve Young.
Heir to Steve Young, you heard right.
He played in 3 more games.
Because I know the name Jim Druckenmiller. I know that for sure.
He's in the XFL.
Yeah. XFL. Fucking XFL. God, Vince McMahon was trying to take everything at that point.
Ooh, they missed out on quarterback Jake Plummer.
Wow.
Who went on to have a good career.
Indeed.
Defensive end Jason Taylor.
Oh.
He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. Wide receiver Derek Mason, who had a good career. I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer. Al Harris, who, gosh, Al Harris, who played in the league up until 2011.
Wow.
In the 97 from the 97 draft.
Jesus.
At defensive back of all things.
I know, right?
You wouldn't be able to play that long.
That's
such an athletically demanding position, but
for real. I mean, I guess his heart was in it.
Yeah, and after 2011, he went straight to coaching for the Dolphins in 2012, and now he's actually he's been the Chiefs' defensive assistant, secondary, and defensive coach for 3 years.
All right.
So, yeah, really screwed up on that one.
Okay.
Classic Niners.
Damn. The Cardinals' biggest mistake, quarterback Matt Leinart. Leinart was the number one quarterback taken in the 2006 draft, and he was thought to be the future of Arizona. Kurt Warner, signed the year before, was thought to be ready to groom him over the hill. Instead, Warner threw huge numbers, led the team to the Super Bowl, and when he finally retired, the Cardinals decided Leinart wasn't their guy. That's it.
Well then,
How about that?
from what I hear, I think part of it was supposedly he was more concerned with being because he went to he's really big at USC and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah,
He's a
I know
little more
about that one.
concerned with his star power,
Yeah, his status.
than actually being a football player, which I don't know, might be true, might not be true.
I think that's what hurt him in the end, though. All right, moving on from there. The Rams' biggest mistake, running back Lawrence Phillips. Phillips had a string of arrests and altercations overshadow his brief flashes of talent. He was drafted number 6 overall in 1996 despite the Rams already being set in running back position with Jerome Bettis. Phillips bounces around for a few years, and he died in prison last year. Damn.
Oh gosh.
Talk about an end to that one. Rest in peace, Lawrence Phillips.
Jeez. The Rams drafted him?
Yeah, 1996, number 6 overall.
Number 6 overall, my goodness.
Yeah, despite being set with Jerome Bettis.
Could have had Terry Glenn.
Could have.
Eddie George.
Could have been.
Marvin Harrison.
Oh, there goes that 96 draft all over again.
Yeah, Eric Moulds. Ray Lewis.
Yep, there that goes.
Heck, fullback Mike Allstott would have been a better choice.
Damn, Mike Allstott. Shit.
Lawyer Malloy, Musin Muhammad, Brian Dawkins.
Oh.
We could go on.
On and on.
Teddy Bruschi, Terrell Owens. Whew. Woo.
All right.
Yeah, they effed up.
I mean, but he had a bad end more than his NFL fuck up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Rams messed up him. It's sad. Obviously.
Yeah. Rest in peace once again, Lawrence Phillips. So, moving on. The Seahawks' biggest mistake, linebacker Aaron Curry. Curry was drafted number 4 overall in 2009. In his 3 seasons with Seattle, he had 5.5 sacks, which when combined with his rookie contract, the largest ever signed by a non-quarterback player, he made a sack payout. He made each sack payout at approximately $6.18 million.
I remember this draft.
Do you?
Because Aaron Curry was supposed to be like the surest thing. Like, like not saying that they weren't saying that like other players couldn't be better, but like he was supposed to be like the sure.
He was supposed to be.
He was going to be good.
He was supposed to be like this, like that safe pick. He's going to be good regardless.
Yeah, and the Chiefs picked right before the Seahawks, and they grabbed Tyson Jackson.
Okay.
Somehow that turned out to be a better pick.
But was the crazy part, in 3 seasons he had 5.5 sacks.
Yeah. So just to get an idea on who else they could have had, defensive players wise, B.J. Raji, Brian Arakpo. At linebacker, they could have had Brian Cushing, who still plays a very high level when he's not hurt in the NFL. Clay Matthews.
Damn, Clay Matthews though.
You could have Clay Matthews. Did I say Brian Arakpo already?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. James Laurinaitis.
James Laurinaitis.
As far as linebackers go, I think that's most of the big ones that came out of that draft. But yeah, there's definitely some misses there. That was probably one of the biggest cases of, man, the draft critics got it wrong.
All right. Next one, the Falcons' biggest mistake, linebacker Andre Bruce. Bruce was the first overall pick in 1988. Of the 27 first-round picks made that year, 15 of them made it to the Pro Bowl. Bruce was productive-ish, but the Falcons passed on Hall of Famers like Tim Brown and Randall McDaniel to get him.
Wow. And Michael Irvin.
And Michael Irvin.
Terry McDaniel, Sterling Sharp, Neil Smith. Anyone else? Eric Allen, Thurman Thomas, Ken Norton Jr. Oh, man. Tom Tupa. I've never heard of Andre Bruce. How long did he play in the league?
He doesn't say.
It's funny. He played for the Falcons for 4 years, and then he went on to play for the Raiders for 6. So, 32 sacks in about 10 years. 3 sacks a year. Doesn't say anything about his tackles, so I don't know. But not awful, but definitely not what you'd expect out of a number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, it's not. He's not making his initial pay grade.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe all right for a first pick in the 3rd round or something.
So, moving on. The Panthers' biggest mistake, wide receiver Dwayne Jarrett. Jarrett left USC in 2007 with the school's record for receptions. He played 3 games in 4 seasons for the Panthers and had more DUIs than he did touchdowns. Which, he had 2 DUIs and had 1 touchdown.
He had 2 DUIs and 1 touchdown.
Yeah. In those 3 games in 4 seasons.
How did he only play 3 games in 4 seasons?
You fucking tell me, dude. Maybe he had some issues. Shit. I don't know. I couldn't really tell you.
Wow. I don't know what else to say other than, gosh.
That's just an ugly turnout.
Yeah.
All right, I guess, honestly, there's really not much to say there.
Yep.
The Bills' biggest mistake, offensive tackle Mike Williams. In the history of the Bills, they have only had a handful of picks in the top 5 of the draft. They probably would have liked this one back. Williams was selected number 4 overall in 2002, ahead of future Hall of Famers like Bryant McKinnie, Dwight Freeney, and Ed Reed. He was cut from the team in 2006.
Yeah, it's rough. Ed Reed, wow, jeez.
Yeah, that one's a...
Clinton Portis, other...
Damn, Clinton Portis. The Beast? As my brother would call him.
This one's, the Bills haven't really been great in a long time. Admittedly, Joey Harrington went before him for the Lions. So this might actually not be the worst bust in the draft. Actually, have we done the Lions yet? Oh, yeah, we did Charles Rogers.
Yeah.
The sad part is that it might not even be the worst bust of the draft.
Not really.
So, Joey Harrington at number 3 was pretty bad too.
But I guess as
David
far as
Carr
the team
really
goes,
pan out at number 1. But yeah, for the Bills, this was bad.
All right. I guess if that's it, we're going to move on to the Jaguars' biggest mistake, quarterback Blaine Gabbert. Taken during a rush of QB selections in 2011, Gabbert was taken 10th overall, move seen as desperate, but the Jags were desperate for a quarterback. Gabbert couldn't throw deep. Not that he could throw short either. He finished in Jacksonville with 5.1 passing yards per attempt.
Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert.
He had 40 touchdowns and 18 picks in 3 years at Missouri. Doesn't exactly scream.
All-star.
Yeah.
That
He
sound
fumbled 14 times his rookie season.
damn.
On a side note, he only ever had one negative touchdown interception year, which was his last year in Jacksonville, where in 3 games he threw 1 touchdown and 7 interceptions.
Well,
But other than that, he's been completely positive, touchdown interception wise.
I mean, but that I guess that doesn't help him being a mistake
Yeah.
for the team. I guess.
As a 49er, though, his quarterback rating is probably in high 80s.
I mean, look what they had to work with at the time, though. They
Yeah.
were kind of falling out, and they had no choice. Blaine Gabbert had to step up, dude.
So maybe he can salvage this and do a solid career as a backup / fill the gap between.
Honestly, dude, that's kind of where I think that's kind of where he fits because of hate the Niners all you want, like he held it together the best way he could,
Yeah.
and I give him all respect for that one.
No, he was coming from a bad situation, so I think for him it wasn't anything new.
That's true, but at the same time,
Yeah.
seeing as that their all-star quarterback was not performing at all-star status, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. Well, let's see what old Chip has to say about all this.
All right. Jets' biggest mistake. Defensive end Dwayne Robertson. The Jets traded 2 first-round picks and a 4th to move up to number 4 overall and select Robertson, who had never had much impact on the team. There were also 18 Pro Bowlers selected in the first 2 rounds after the Jets made their number 4 pick. So those other 2 first-round selections may have come in handy. Though honorable mention to Mike Nugent, a kicker who they selected in the 2nd round in 2005. I'm gonna say, unless you know anything, it doesn't ring any bells for me.
Yeah, no, he sucked.
Damn.
Defensive line wise, though, there wasn't a lot
Going
early
on
in that draft.
There wasn't a lot going on.
Calvin Pace was the defensive end.
Now, would you say though, like
okay?
Now, would you say like picking defensive players early is more of a gamble than anything else?
No, usually defensive players tend to translate a lot better. I think except for defensive backs, I think that's a little more of a crapshoot. But normally linebackers and defensive linemen tend to be easier to predict.
Yeah,
it seems like.
Unless you got a lot of star
Same with
power,
offensive
like
linemen.
unless you got like a lot of star power, like fucking Matt Leinart or fucking.
Yeah. The hardest things to predict is defensive backs, wide receivers, and quarterbacks seem to be the biggest crapshoots. Yeah, I mean, I'll say it doesn't look like they missed out. If they were going for defensive line, there wasn't really anyone who is like stands out. O.C. Minora had some good years with the Giants. I think he's on the Falcons now, if he's still playing. So, it is definitely a bust. But for the position they were trying to get, wasn't a great draft year for that in the end. Well, Terrell Suggs at defensive end, but / linebacker. Did not see that. So maybe they could have went with Terrell Suggs.
All right, moving on. The Dolphins' biggest mistake, defensive end Dion Jordan. Nothing makes a bust worse than trading up to get him, and that's exactly what the Dolphins did in 2013 when they took the defensive end at number 3 overall. It was a head-scratcher moment, as they were seen as desperately needing help on their offensive line and were hoping up to select one. while the book isn't closed on his career, so far he has recorded more games missed because of suspensions than has recorded sacks.
What team was this?
Dolphins.
Dolphins. Yeah, Jordan. Well, we'll see. But it's definitely not looking good right now.
I mean, at least I mean, it's crazy is that like he's the most recent bust on this list.
Yeah.
So,
Which I think is probably, considering he's still around.
but then again,
The Dolphins haven't had too many huge busts, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's at the 3rd-year mark at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll give him another year and see what happens.
Definitely. Although I'm sure Dolphins fans are like, "What is this bum?"
All right. And last but not least, the Patriots' biggest mistake quarterback, Tom Brady.
Shut up.
Honestly, I think this might be just a troll, but I'm going to read it. The Patriots drafted Tom Brady in the 6th round of the 2000 draft, a huge reach for them, as most would agree. He would have remained available until the 7th. Since being drafted, Brady has been linked to controversy after controversy, including multiple cheating scandals, resulting in two first-round draft pick forfeitures for the franchise, which is 2008 and 2016. Without a doubt, the Patriots regret drafting Tom Brady.
I'm actually legitimately curious what their Patriots' worst bust would actually be, but okay.
I think this one's more. I think this one in the article is
that was just a
troll
Yeah.
post and more like personal opinion than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They drafted a known cheater. Yeah, I know. That's right. He's a cheater. I don't care. Thumbs down me if you want.
I'm a Chargers fan, so I'm
Tom
not.
Brady's a damn cheater. So's Bill Belichick. So's the whole
You know,
Patriots.
the Spygate. For us, it was the Spygate shit.
There's controversy over all their rings. Trash. Tuck rule. Spygate. Flakegate. What was the other one? There's another one. I'm sure there was another one. Don't worry.
You're trying to build up to it. All right, so despite that, which of all these 31, we're just going to leave the troll out.
Yeah.
All these 31, which one do you think sounded the worst?
There's two that sounded the worst, which was actually I'll say three.
Okay.
I guess I'll say this one because technically it might not be, because you don't. It's not guaranteed that they would have turned things around sooner, but Jamarcus Russell really set the Raiders back with money.
Oh yeah, they
like stuff like that.
They threw money at that.
So that ended up being huge.
Dude, that was like total classic. I'm gonna throw money at it and hope it works out.
And like that's one of those situations where like you know, now that it looks like they're finally turning things around, like would it have taken so long if it had not been for that? But realistically, the Colts drafting Elway and not getting him, especially because was it Marino and Jim Kelly went in that draft?
Yeah.
And then the Packers,
Oh God.
who selected the one non-Hall of Famer out of 5 guys.
Yeah. Troy Aikman, Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Well, you should have luck there.
Yeah. So those two sound like the worst, but obviously you probably say the Colts, I think, in the end, because Elway won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos. Jim Kelly went to 4 Super Bowls. Dan Marino went to a Super Bowl and was sort of like, you know, the best quarterback without a ring, pretty much. So, and then you think about it, Elway then later went on to get Peyton Manning from the Colts after they released him and win a Super Bowl with him.
Yeah.
So Granted, the Colts have won a Super Bowl and have been to another in this time period.
Yeah.
But man, they no. in like 25 years, basically in this 25-year period, roughly, they got one Super Bowl out of it, but they John Elway got 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
One of which with their definitive quarterback of all time. So I think at the end of the day, I'm gonna say the Colts with John Elway is the worst. I honorable mention to the Vikings to draft someone in the first round and for them to never see the field. That's crazy.
My honorable mention will probably be the Bengals pick.
Oh yeah.
10 touchdowns in 4 seasons. I mean, granted he's a young boy, but still.
Yeah.
Just bad selections on their end.
Yeah.
All right. So that was long and that was pretty fun actually.
Yeah. Trip down football memory lane.
Oh yeah, for you mostly, I'll just here to facilitate those.
46. This was 47. Did you cast 47? Man, we got to think something to do for 50. I don't remember what we talked about. I feel like we already discussed what we're going to do for 50.
Yeah.
Well, we'll discuss it again after this.
Yeah, probably. All right. So, with that said, everyone is I guess in a way, everyone knows sports to a degree. Well,
here's to the next few months where we all get to be hopeful about our football teams.
Of course.
We get to wonder if we made the teams better at the draft or have ruined our chances.
It always seems like I find ever since like I got more into football through fantasy football.
Yeah.
Is that it always seems like these drafts every year seem to be even more of a crapshoot than the year before.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, how you're basically facilitating throwing money around, just to hopefully get that that diamond in the rough,
I think it's because football has by far the largest roster of any sport. So like,
yeah, because
they're picking from a bigger pool and bringing more guys into a big pool.
Yeah, I mean, then again, it's a physical sport, so
yeah.
So with that said, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what, like, if there are any things if there's anything you disagree about on this list. I mean, shit.
Which one was the worst for you?
I mean, if they're not on this list, I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear it. I'd like to see it. Then we can.
All in all, I'd say that the Chiefs one being Jonathan Baldwin didn't really have a necessarily a ton of long-term ramifications, so it's okay. Could be worse.
I mean, you could have ended up with Ryan Leaf. So like I said, draft's in full swing, so hopefully it doesn't get any worse than this.
Oh, it will. We're gonna tweet out a picture of us smoking a bong.
Oh,
a gas mask.
Oh yeah. We're gonna throw our lives in the toilet right after this one. All right. With that said, this is the Kings of Rice.
This is awesome.
Peace out.